Hello, I'm Mike Strader, Global Innovation Director for Personal Protection at Coates. Today we're going to introduce to you what personal protection means and the innovations that we do within that business. Hopefully you'll learn something today that you'll be able to take back to your business so that we can innovate with you as we build our business together.
Hi, and I'm Richard Ridewood. I'm Head of Personal Protection for Coates, of which innovation is a key part. So today we're going to be bringing personal protection and innovation together. What does innovation mean to you, Mike?
Innovation is an opportunity to develop and integrate knowledge about materials, process methodologies, and other expertise to meet the needs of safety and personal protection in our textile business.
Why do you think innovation is important?
I think innovation is important for a couple of reasons. One is, as a company, continually reinventing yourself, developing products creates a healthy environment for financial gain and financial success. But two, we're protecting those who protect us. We're developing products that ultimately go into protecting people whose livelihood is to defend us or protect us.
And that's a great point in that context, because we can see as we look at those end users, right, that more and more of them, like the rest of us in our everyday clothing, are looking for lighter products, more comfortable products, more durable products, while still providing that protection. So yeah, so that's a great point. So innovation is looking to bring all those different aspects to personal protection. How would you describe innovation at Coates, and how successful have we been there?
Well, with Coates, first of all, Coates has tremendous resources. We're sitting here in front of an innovation hub where there are others around the world who are able to take materials and develop those materials all the way to fabric and garment solutions to test. There's not many companies that has the wherewithal, the backbone to do that. And so the first aspect of that is having the muscle and the opportunity to do that. The second part is being innovative within this organization. There's a great and vast knowledge base. So being a large company, you've got a lot of people with very different aspects and visions of this business and the materials that we can use and the processes we can use. So there's another win for that. But ultimately, our ability to innovate is improving, obviously, the financial part of our business, and our shareholders are gaining from the fact that we're staying out on the leading edge and able to use those.
I agree, and I think within the process we've also gone through a progression over the past number of years. I think Coates had a great tradition in the past, again in the personal protection area, of working on a specific solution with a customer, driving and helping them grow, and that's still important. Customer-led innovation is still important, but more and more we're looking for platform solutions, so products we can come up with that will go across the industry or the industries as a whole and help raise them to that next level and provide that protection we're talking about. And I think we can feel that and see that in Coates now as we're making that progression.
Tell me a little bit about the vision within Coates, and in particular our senior management with innovation for the future.
I think, as you mentioned, Mike, earlier on, that there is a financial aspect to this. We have to increase the value of the business, and we increase the value for our shareholders, for our owners. Innovation is a great way to do that. It's a question of how are we doing that, and that's what the senior management is interested about. We have to bring genuine innovation to the marketplace. This is not just a little stepping stone. We have to bring something that makes a leap in performance in terms of the fabric or the garment that the end user is going to use at the end of the day. And within that, so that means that we as the innovation team and the commercial teams are looking to bring product to market that is what we call a platform solution. So we can then come up with something, whether it be lighter, whether it be more comfortable, whether it be more protective, that we can sell across through multiple channels to the end use, increasing that protection. So it's a financial aspect for the business, and then it's up to us to come up with a real leap in product, a real leap in performance that then takes the customer and the end user to the next level of protection. But what does personal protection mean to you?
Well, the direct connotation of personal protection is we're protecting people. Really, our business is about even a little bit further than that. We have industrial uses and other things. So personal protection may be indirectly equipment and other things that people are using, but personal protection again boils down to that we're developing products that ultimately is going to save or protect someone's body or their environment, from their environment, so that they will return home every day safe as they came. Now, one of the big challenges for us is that we have such a multi-platform business. We have from military to industrial workwear to transportation to many different areas where sometimes it's not just easy to pick one solution that will cross over those kind of barriers, but the fact is there's no raw material, one raw material that solves every problem. So our challenge in personal protection is to develop these technologies of blends and using our processes to come up with ways to enhance that final product that does save ultimately those that protect us.
So how do we do that in performance yarns? How do we actually bring those additional attributes that are going to help protect that end user?
Our first challenge is to always know the norms, the standards. That there was an old engineering adage: find the need and fill it. So the first thing though is to really understand the need and the regulations or standards that are going to have to be used to produce the product. Once you do that, you look at the different materials. You come up with ways to synergize those materials together to meet those norms. Now, everything has to be vetted in the real life world. We are able to turn products from concept into prototypes all the way to garments so that we can validate before we go out and promote and market a product. So ultimately, our integration into this is always all the way from the chemistry that produces the fibers all the way to the final product that will be used, and our ability to vet and understand how it matches up to the norms and standards.
So at Coates, are you and your team, Mike, focused on developing blends, on developing yarns, on developing fabrics? How does it work?
Good question. I like to look at it as we're solving a problem or solving a challenge. Now, we're obviously in the textile business, and our core competency is spun yarns and spun yarns that are used ultimately in fabrics. But I think a real big opportunity for us and our success is really vetted on how we can actually produce a product that works all the way to the very end. And I think it's important for us to be integrated all the way to the end, even if it means we make our own fabrics or work with someone to develop a garment line. Today, the fast-moving pace of going lighter weight, putting fashion and other aspects in the product means we have to be closer to the end. So we're not just limited to being spinners. We're weavers and knitters and braiders, and we're looking at garment functions, and we have to understand the science that actually is going into it all the way to the end.
Great.
So Richard, tell me a little bit of how new products and new innovation gets inspired within Coates.
Well, there's a number of different aspects for that, Mike. 95% of which is external, which is right. So we've got our commercial teams. We've got great commercial teams, either direct account executives or even people dedicated to business development. Now they are out in the marketplace. They're talking to our customers, understanding our customers, listening to our customers. And a number of them actually go further downstream. So we're talking to the key garment makers, we're talking to the key distributors in this business, the industrial laundress, we're talking to key end users. And we then start to build a picture of what is required. Sometimes, subset by subset. It could be a cut protection business going into automotive. It could be lightweight garments going into the foundries, and we're listening to them and bringing back that information. Is it something they need something lighter? They need better color. They need something that wicks better. These sort of ideas are brought back by our commercial team. So we bring them back. We bring them back to you. But there's a broader aspect as well. So that's customers and downstream. We also, our suppliers play a huge part in this as well. Our suppliers have a wealth of knowledge about the industry. So we have great connections with them. We're talking to their business development people. Same process. We're listening. That's the key point. We're listening to what they bring to the market. So we've got the suppliers, we've got our customers and downstream. And then from time to time, we pick on other external opportunities. There's one or two different startups that we're working with who come at things from a different angle than us traditional textile guys sometimes. So we're working with them, and also with universities and other institutions very similar. So that whole package is bringing a great deal of ideation, a great deal of inspiration that we then bring back to the innovation process, into the innovation hubs. And that's where I don't quite throw the ball to you, but let me challenge you. So commercially, we've come up with all these great ideas. What the heck do you do with it in the hub?
Well, first of all, our hub is a miniature or a pilot scale model of what our facilities can do. So ultimately, we've got to produce products through the hub that will fit into our mainstream manufacturing. So the first aspect to this is from a mechanical standpoint. Can we take these ideas, these potential blends, these products, and can we actually process them? So we go through the hub with a similar technology to be able to scale back just a little bit and make the product and test it completely for its value and its function. Now doing that, we have to pay meticulous details to how it was set up so that we can transition that to manufacturing. But having a small scale or pilot size facility adds agility for us to be able to turn product to get it out, get it tested ahead of the curve a little bit. We want to be on the front side of the wave, so to speak, so that we can get out there and get it tested, and we can do iterations to see, and even bracket iterations to see where the limits of processing goes. We're constantly being pushed to go faster, lighter, and more efficient, and also to be more sustainable through our products. So all of those things, being able to take it through a pilot facility to ultimately for us here in Sevier and other places around the world, we'll make yarn and then work with a weaver or a knitter or a fabric producer to help us take it to that next step. Now, I want to reiterate, having the hub adds agility because nothing kills an idea like it having to wait on mainstream. So having that agility and ability to move the product through quickly and get it into yarn to fabric for testing is important, particularly in the innovation stream and trying to educate yourself on where you are toward the goal.
Excellent. Let's try and bring that to life with the Flame Pro Splash, Mike. Okay. So if I think back, a couple of years ago when we started this journey on Flame Pro Splash, we had a number of those account executives we're talking about. We had a business development team member as well who analysed the market for us and said, this is a relatively small area. It's one that's relatively neglected. Not a whole lot of innovation has been brought to that. We have garment makers and, more importantly, end users who are crying out for something that's more comfortable, something that's more durable, something that looks great, that drapes well. What can we do? What can we bring to the market that will satisfy that? So that was an outside inspiration. Maybe you can tell everybody how we then took that through the process and what we came up with.
So part of the Flame Pro Splash program was to develop a means to get to a fabric that had superior and superior function and superior economics. So we were able to develop blends with materials that may not be readily available at the time, but to promote those and incorporate those into this product, to where we're able to produce different weights of fabric for different functions within the splash world, the splash being molten metal or aluminum and ferrous type materials.
Yep.
So we're able to take that to a lighter weight, more functional fabric that ultimately the user will wear it. It's something comfortable, it works. We've been able to produce fabrics all the way to garments, work with partners out in the business, aluminum manufacturers, ferrous steel manufacturers, to determine whether it actually worked and did they like it. And so far we've had success. So we're in the growing phase of that now. We're past pilot and getting into actual orders to produce that product. So it will become, I think, a major player against some of the incumbents that are out there.
So again, as we think about the Flame Pro Splash, and for that matter, all the different products that you are working on, Mike, what are the real difficulties with innovation? What are the problems and how do you overcome them?
In the days that we're living right now with the pandemic, that's been a big challenge. Having immediacy to getting materials and being able to turn those ideas into product has been very unique for the last year and a half, going on 2 years. Putting that aside, our challenge is, will it work? Will the blends and concept meet that ultimate need? So if we've added a particular material to add some thermal stability or some strength or whatever, will it actually work, and can we do it in an economic manner to get that full functionality? Sometimes it's blue sky. You put something together and you just don't know. There are fibers that come out that the manufacturers of the fibers make claims. And the reality is sometimes maybe they are dead on, or they may not be quite there, or we learn something that's even better with their product. So I think that's the first challenge, is really understanding materials and be able to translate and understand their value. The next big challenge is obviously the manufacturing, going through and being able to make this fit. Because of our eclectic nature of our business, there's not one setup, not one aspect to everything, Because of the nature of our business, the eclectic nature of our business, we have the issue of not being able to set up machinery all one way and just go with it. You do have to make changes, so you have to look at the parameters within each of these machines and how we operate to be sure that we can survive and function without a lot of downtime with products downstream. Because ultimately, when this goes to the plant, if they've got to turn the plant upside down to run the product, that's a big challenge. We just can't do that. So we have to work within the parameters of the equipment we have. And then lastly, and I think this is always important, is the education part of this. It's easy for us to understand the reasons and what we're doing, but we have to translate that through both directions, and taking care that we protect our intellectual property in a way, but our people need to know the value of what we're doing. And I think sometimes it's a challenge to really get them to understand and accept the true value. So we do a lot of things like social media. We have meetings with our employees to try to keep them educated, and then ultimately educating those that are going to sell the product. Someone I know pretty close to me once said you have to repeat something 7 times before they understand it. And you have to remember, just because we understand it doesn't mean it propagates very well to the next level. So that's another big challenge, educating and promoting the product.
Just pick on really upon one point that you raised. Actually, it kind of covered those first two bullet points that you raised. How do you and the team cope with failure?
I don't like to fail. I used to brag that my batting average in innovation was at least 900, which means something had to fail. I think in today's world, you're not measuring that your batting average is 900. You're measuring did the product behave the way you predicted. Now that may mean that you put something in the development process to see what that failure point was. So you have to push yourself beyond the scope of, hey, I messed that up, we got to start over. But you leave yourself with some aspect to that you bracketed it, or you developed an iteration that was safer or more likely to succeed. We don't like to fail. Ultimately, if we fail in the ultimate product, somebody's going to get hurt or something's going to go seriously wrong. But I think coping with failure, as far as the product, is part of a psychology. It's okay if you push yourself to that boundary. Did you understand where you could operate from it?
What are you working on today? How can you excite the colleagues, the customers, everybody listening to this podcast? What are you working on?
Well, first and foremost, I kind of break our business down into really maybe 3 areas. There's first responders and fire services. I kind of throw them into a group. There's industrial workwear, which can cover petrochem, electrical, art, protection, and that. And then there's PPE. I break them down into those 3 ways, and we're working in all of those. It's no doubt that in all 3 of those categories are some similarities. One is they want better performance at lighter weights to give them better function within their job, to be safer, more comfortable, and to be able to respond correctly to whatever the threat is. There's an area that I didn't mention is military. There's obviously that defensible military to doing threats that are beyond the things we face every day. But in those 3 areas, fire safety and first responders, industrial workwear and PPE, there's some common ground. One is that lightweight aspect. So we're working always to push the boundaries of being able to process fibers and process materials to even lighter weight and not give up performance to try to maintain performance. Another aspect to it is obviously in times of short supply and short materials, we're always working on what are all the materials that are available out there? What are they like? What value do they add when you can't get one or the other? So you want to have flexibility in products. So we're always testing out flexibility. We also work continuously on sustainability. And when I look, most people hear the word sustainability, they think about how am I going to save water, how am I going to save a critter or something like that. In our world, sustainable means are the resources going to be available so that we can continue this product in perpetuity, whatever that is, obviously with iterations coming later. But throughout all those, we're working on that sustainability to the business. Now, in the fire services business and the first responders, their threat is growing every day. You've seen in the news where wildland firefighters, some people attribute this to global warming. There are more and more fires being caused out in western U.S. and Australia and other places around the world. So there's a peak in demand now because of that. So we're working excruciatingly quick to be sure we're able to sustain business and provide products for them that they can wear and they can be comfortable in. First responders, the people who go to the first call. They don't know what their threat is. We're working on lighter weight functional garments so they don't have to put on full heavyweight gear. In industrial workwear, we're working on arc protection. Arc protection is electrical arc. It can be all the way from the home to industrial aspects to heavy electrical, like these energy companies. So there's an arc threat that's either to the body or to some resource within it. We're always working on getting that level of arc protection up to the standard that's needed for the function. And I'll marry in all of these too the notion that whatever we develop, they got to want to wear it. Mm-hmm. So going to PPE, personal protective equipment, it's very important that if they're going to have a glove, they're going to have a hood, or they're going to have sleeves, it has to work. It has to be functional, but they have to want to wear it. Because obviously if it's uncomfortable, it creates a hazard within their job. So we're always working on ways to make things more comfortable, more, the wearer will ultimately have it on instead of it, we say, laying in the toolbox or hanging on the side view mirror of the truck when they're up on a pole. So it's important for us to work through all those aspects, and that's how we're integrating in every aspect today, that some of the things we're doing. Now, in closing, it's all about safety. We talked about safety. We're sitting here practicing safety in our distance because of COVID. There's always new threats coming, so we're always looking for what those threats are. And COVID has established a need for antimicrobial type products that's never been approached like it has now. So we have products where we're working many different platforms of trying to add antimicrobial to products.
So what is the name of that product?
Our product is called Protect Plus.
Okay.
Now, when you start to look at antimicrobials, you have to realize in our world we're non-medical, so we don't have absolutes words like kill. We talk about inhibiting or eradicating bacteria or microbes within a product. So our Protect Plus is made to do that, and it's made from sustainable processes, not where we're using heavy metals and like silver and copper. We're using safer compounds to affect the performance of that antimicrobial. Protect Plus is ubiquitous. We can add it to most any blend. We have several options there. We're looking at copper and silver salts, zinc technologies, and we're looking at natural technologies. There's some products out there, some naturally growing products like bamboo that has a natural antimicrobial property. So we're looking at developing these products to make it ubiquitous to all the things we do, including whether it's PPE, industrial workwear, or even in the fire services and military base layer and such. So our Protect Plus is very effective. It is extremely effective against the escape pathogens. Those are what the Hospital Association names as the most virulent materials. out there, like MRSA, like VRE, like Klebsiella pneumonia, like E. coli. These bugs are very effective, and we can add this to the fabric to protect, in the yarns we make, to protect the fabric from proliferating that.
So correct me if I've got it wrong, but basically what you're saying is as you design your blends and your yarns and your fabrics to give improved flame protection or improved arc protection or better cut protection, you can have all that and have this other layer of protection that is Protect Plus. It doesn't impact the other things.
That's right. We can develop it at a level that doesn't impact that. And there again, I mentioned earlier about education. This has been an area where with the different governments around the world, and they're looking at things like heavy metals and zone of inhibition or ionic exchanges. We are trying to stay away from those things that will impact the environment or have some aspect that it's a medical. We just don't. We go to protecting the fabric, which ultimately and indirectly protects the person wearing it.
Okay. And one thing I'm going to talk about, because I know Mike won't talk about it, because it's really in the deep in the hub, is a new concept that the team is working on around a yarn platform. Mike talked at the beginning about combining the different fibers, and some of those fibers, as Mike mentioned, are quite difficult to textile, for want of a better word, and they don't perform in UV, or they don't perform in a certain wash environment. So Mike and team are working on a new yarn concept that allows us to combine fibers in unique ways that can provide protection to some of those more difficult fibers, that still allows us then to create finer yarns, lighter fabrics, and add that protection. So stay close to that one. We've not even named it yet, but that will be one that will be coming out towards the end of this year, and probably Q1 next year. So that's one I'm very excited about, that we can take across all the different end uses that Mike talked about. Okay, of course, folks are going to want to contact us after all this exciting information, Mike, and there's a simple contact us form on the website. Fill that in and we'll get back to you. We have dedicated customer care teams to get back to you quickly. And then of course there's going to be more of these series going forward. We've got innovation series. We'll have them dedicated to personal protection. We'll have them dedicated to innovation in personal protection. So stay tuned, much more to come. Thank you very much.
Thank you.